It's 1953. America is booming, chrome is king, and Chevrolet rolls out something nobody expected. A fiberglass-bodied two-seater meant to chase Europe at its own game. The name? Corvette. The reality? Almost no one thought it would last. Born in secrecy, sold in tiny numbers, and almost killed before it had a chance. The '53 Corvette C1 is a story of strange engineering, bizarre corporate politics, and legends that refuse to die. Today, we're digging into 20 weird facts you didn't know about the very first Corvette, from experimental plastics to celebrity mishaps. And yes, even government quirks. And wait till you hear why number 1 almost never made it to production. Buckle up. This ride is stranger than you think. The 1953 Corvette C1 wasn't just Chevrolet's first sports car. It was a gamble, a design experiment, and a fragile icon born out of desperation to catch Ford off guard. Only 300 were made, all hand-built in Flint, Michigan. Today, every surviving example is treated like rolling treasure. But the details? They're stranger than the legend. Before we hit number 20, do one thing. Tap that like button and subscribe. Because the deeper we go, the weirder this Corvette story gets. And you don't want to miss what's coming at number 1. Fiberglass body almost didn't happen. The Corvette is famous for its fiberglass skin, but here's the kicker. Chevy nearly canned it. In 1952, engineers debated steel versus fiberglass for the body. Fiberglass was exotic, untested, and prone to waves and cracks. Why choose it? Because steel allocations during the Korean War made mass production tricky. Harley Earl's design staff pushed DuPont's fiberglass as a Hail Mary. The result? Each 1953 Corvette body took multiple molds and endless sanding. Owners today can still spot uneven panel gaps, an artifact of hand-laying fiberglass. Collectors love this imperfection, but restorers curse it. And that's just the beginning. Number 19 shows how the car's performance was crippled before it even left the plant. A sports car with a 2-speed slush box. Imagine buying a sleek European fighter only to find a Powerglide 2-speed automatic. No manual option in 1953. The reasoning? Chevrolet wanted ease of use, not racing credibility. The car's 150 horsepower Blue Flame inline-6 was mated to the Powerglide, making the Corvette slower than most family sedans. Even more shocking, 0 to 60 miles per hour took around 11 seconds. Car magazines roasted it. Collectors today use this as a trivia hook. Spot a '53 Corvette with 3 pedals. It's either a resto-mod or a fake. The twist? Some insiders say Zora Arkus Duntov, father of the Corvette, almost quit over it. But wait till you see number 18. The engine wasn't just underpowered. It was recycled. The engine was hand-me-down tech. The Corvette's engine wasn't new. It was a tarded-up version of Chevrolet's humble Stovebolt 6. Engineers added triple Carter side draft carbs and a higher lift cam, dubbing it the Blue Flame. Rated at 150 horsepower, it still lagged behind Jaguar XK 120s or even Ford's flathead V8s. Why launch a sports car with an outdated 6? Cost. Chevrolet brass feared a V8 would scare buyers and complicate production. Here's the twist. Within 2 years, the Corvette's identity would hinge on the small block V8. But the '53's 6-cylinder makes these cars unique, and collectors now prize originality over speed. And speaking of originality, number 17 exposes a paint secret no one expected. Only one color, and it wasn't perfect. Every 1953 Corvette wore polo white paint with a sportsman red interior. Why? Limited production capacity made multiple colors impossible. But here's the kicker. Polo white often yellowed or cracked quickly, because fiberglass absorbed paint differently than steel. Early owners complained their brand new cars looked aged within a year. Spotter's tip? A genuine 53 should have a unique paint code tag indicating this one-color scheme. Today, repainting in polo white can cost twice as much as other shades because restorers chase that exact creamy tone. And yet, number 16 proves that even trim wasn't as standard as you'd think. Hand-stitched, hand-installed interiors. Unlike later mass-production Corvettes, the 1953's interior was essentially coach-built. Each Sportsman red leather seat was hand-stitched and fitted, meaning no two are exactly alike. Door panels, cut and glued by hand. Dash pads, shaped differently car to car. This explains why restorers often find slight asymmetries. Even more shocking, the dash cluster used borrowed parts from Chevrolet sedans, hardly exotic. But collectors swoon over these quirks. Spotting correct gauges and steering wheel moldings is critical in authenticating a real 53. And the twist? Those hand-built details caused delays that almost derailed delivery schedules. Which brings us to number 15, where production itself turned into chaos. Flint plant assembly chaos. The 1953 Corvette wasn't built in a shiny new sports car factory. It was hand-assembled in a small area of Chevrolet's Flint plant, usually reserved for pilot cars. Workers had no fiberglass experience. Panels didn't fit, resin warped, and production moved at a crawl. Only 3 cars were built in June 1953, then roughly 1 per day through the summer. Even more shocking, some bodies arrived incomplete from supplier-molded fiberglass, forcing plant workers to improvise repairs. Spotter's tip? Early VIN plates show tiny stamp inconsistencies from this hand process. Collectors know a 53 Corvette is as much art project as automobile. And speaking of art projects, number 14 shows how Chevy used one to trick the press. A prototype fooled reporters. Here's the kicker. The Corvette unveiled at GM's 1953 Motorama in New York wasn't quite production ready. That show car had unique trim details, slightly different badging, and hand-polished features. Chevrolet used it to gauge reaction, then scrambled to translate applause into production. The Motorama Corvette was so carefully detailed, many believed production cars would match its polish. They didn't. Chrome trim varied, panel gaps widened, and hand-laid fiberglass rippled. Spotter's tip: Motorama replicas today often confuse casual collectors, but true historians know the differences, like the unique emblem spacing. And that's when things get weird, because number 13 shows how the car's price almost doubled overnight. The sticker shock problem. In 1953, Chevrolet announced the Corvette would cost $3,498. That sounded affordable compared to a Jaguar XK 120 at around $3,900. But here's the twist. Once buyers factored in mandatory options, heater, AM radio, white wall tires, the Corvette's real price often neared $3,900 anyway. Worse? The underwhelming performance meant customers weren't lining up. Dealers struggled to move them, and some cars sat unsold into 1954. Today, collectors smile at that irony. An unsold 53, once seen as a burden, is now worth hundreds of thousands. But the pricing wasn't the only oddity. Number 12 reveals a no racing rule that owners promptly ignored. GM's no racing policy backfired. General Motors had a strict no factory racing stance in the 1950s, so the Corvette was officially not built for competition. But here's the kicker. Owners did it anyway. Local racers modified the Blue Flame 6 with hot cams and even swapped in early Cadillac 5.8s. Chevrolet engineers quietly took notes. By 1955, Zora Arkus Duntov himself was sneaking racing upgrades into development cars. The Corvette's very survival depended on proving it could compete, even though GM policy said otherwise. Spotter's tip? Period race photos sometimes show early C1s stripped bare with crude roll bars. Valuable documentation for collectors. And speaking of collectors, number 11 dives into one of the rarest accessories you've probably never seen. The rare hardtop nobody bought. Believe it or not, Chevrolet offered a detachable plexiglass bubble hardtop for the 1953 Corvette. It was meant to make the Roadster more practical in bad weather. Here's the twist. Hardly anyone ordered it, partly because it looked awkward and trapped heat. Most owners preferred the standard canvas soft top, even though it leaked. Today, surviving original bubble hardtops are worth a fortune, sometimes 6 figures, because so few exist. Spotter's tip. Repro versions can be spotted by smoother edges. Originals have wavy seams from the early plexiglass process. But if you think that's odd, number 10 is even stranger. The Corvette didn't have outside door handles. No door handles outside. That's right. Walk up to a 1953 Corvette, and you won't find exterior door handles. Owners had to reach inside the cabin to open the door. Why? Simplicity and cost-cutting. Chevrolet engineers decided external handles complicated the fiberglass molds, but the design flaw made valet parking and first dates awkward. Later C1s added exterior handles, but this first run left drivers fumbling. Spotter's tip. This quirk is a dead giveaway of an original 53. And here's your mid-roll moment. Go ahead and like and subscribe, because we're only halfway through. And the next facts include celebrity embarrassments, missing VINs, and a near death for the Corvette program. Missing VIN mysteries. Here's the kicker. A handful of 1953 Corvettes have VIN records that don't match their body tags, or have gone missing entirely. Why? Because record-keeping at the Flint pilot line was sloppy. With cars hand-assembled and tags riveted by different workers, inconsistencies crept in. Some cars were even registered late, creating odd gaps in paperwork. Collectors today obsess over these anomalies. A mismatched VIN can drop value drastically, unless documentation proves it's a genuine factory quirk. Legends swirl that a few lost 50s threes still sit in barns undocumented. Rumor or not, VIN oddities keep Corvette historians busy. And if you think that's strange, number 8 shows how a celebrity made the car infamous. John Wayne was an early owner. Yes, the Duke himself. Hollywood legend John Wayne reportedly took delivery of one of the first 1953 Corvettes. Here's the twist. Despite his cowboy persona, Wayne loved futuristic gadgets and stylish cars. Period photos show him posing with the Corvette, helping GM market it as glamorous, but rumor says he found it underpowered compared to his big Cadillacs. Spotter's tip. Celebrity ownership history can skyrocket a Corvette's value, and Wayne's connection makes any verified example museum-worthy. Even more shocking? Another celebrity incident in number 7 shows the Corvette wasn't just glamorous, it was embarrassing. The first Corvette recall, sort of. The 1953 Corvette never had an official government recall. But here's the kicker. Dealers quietly repaired widespread issues. Faulty side draft carburetors caused stalling, leaking weather seals soaked carpets, and the Power Glide transmission clunked into gear. GM never called it a recall, but service bulletins ordered fixes. Some owners were furious, paying nearly $4,000 for a car less reliable than their family sedan. Today, restorers still deal with these quirks. Spotter's tip. Genuine early carb setups with original Carter side drafts are rare because so many were replaced. But wait till you hear number 6, when Chevrolet nearly pulled the plug altogether. The Corvette program almost died in 1954. By the end of 1953, only 183 Corvettes had sold. By 1954, unsold cars piled up on dealer lots. Chevrolet execs considered axing the program entirely. The twist? It was Zora Arkus Duntoff's persistence and the coming small block V8 that saved it. Without that intervention, the Corvette name might have ended after just 300 cars. Spotter's tip: collectors call the 53 the survivor because it's the fragile root of a lineage that almost didn't exist. And speaking of survival, number 5 reveals why even surviving cars can be dangerously misleading. Many survivors are clones. Because only 300 were built, demand for 1953 Corvettes far exceeds supply. Here's the kicker: dozens of replicas and tribute cars exist, some so convincing they've fooled collectors. Common tells, incorrect gauges, wrong seat stitching, or exterior door handles that shouldn't be there. The fiberglass layup on clones is usually smoother than the wavy originals. Auction houses scrutinize them with forensic detail, checking casting codes and frame stampings. The twist? One famous auction nearly sold a fake for 6 figures before sharp-eyed experts intervened. Spotter's tip: look for VINs starting with E53F. Anything else is a red flag. But even the real cars have hidden secrets. Number 4 takes us under the hood. Heat so bad, it burned legs. Owners complained early and often. The Corvette's fiberglass body trapped engine heat, turning the cockpit into a furnace. On hot days, side sills and transmission tunnels scorched legs. GM tried adding insulation, but it barely helped. Even more shocking, early road tests warned buyers to avoid long drives in summer. Today, restorers add modern heat shielding, but purists live with the flaw. Spotter's tip: check under carpets. Original cars show thin factory jute padding, often singed by exhaust heat. And that's not all. Number 3 uncovers a story involving the US government. A Corvette went to the Pentagon. Legend says the Pentagon received an early Corvette for testing. Officially, it was to evaluate fiberglass durability for military applications. Rumor suggests military brass were simply curious about Chevy's flashy toy. Reports claim the Corvette failed miserably under stress. Fiberglass panels cracked, heat warped trim, and the automatic slurred under load. Documentation is scarce, but enthusiasts love this tale. Whether fact or folklore, it adds mystique. The Corvette was so novel, even the government took a peek. But nothing compares to number 2, where the Corvette's cultural fate hung by a thread. Motor Trend refused to give it. Car of the Year. In 1953, Motor Trend magazine created hype around the Corvette, but stopped short of giving it their prestigious award. Why? Because performance fell flat. Editors praised its styling, but slammed its drivetrain. The twist? This stung Chevrolet leadership, fueling internal battles over whether the Corvette should continue. Zora Arkus Duntoff seized the criticism as ammunition. He argued only a proper V8 and manual gearbox could make the Corvette credible. Without that rejection, some say the Corvette wouldn't have evolved into the performance icon we know. And yet number 1 is even more shocking. The car we call the first Corvette almost wasn't the car at all. The Corvette almost debuted as a sedan. Yes, you heard that right. Before the Corvette, Chevrolet toyed with the idea of showcasing fiberglass technology on a family sedan. Early proposals suggested a 4-door or coupe body style to demonstrate lightweight plastics. Only later did Harley Earl push for a sexy 2-seater, inspired by European roadsters. Here's the kicker. Had GM gone with the sedan, the Corvette name might never have existed. America's sports car would have been nothing more than a fiberglass oddity. The twist? By choosing the two-seater, GM set the stage for 7 decades of Corvette history. That fragile 1953 Roadster wasn't just a car. It was destiny wrapped in polo white. And that's the big reveal. The 1953 Corvette C1 wasn't perfect. It was underpowered, overpriced, and built like an experiment. But in its flaws lay its future. Fiberglass that warped, engines that stalled, and assembly line chaos. All of it became part of the Corvette myth. Only 300 were made, but each one tells the story of how close America came to losing its most enduring sports car. Which fact blew your mind? The missing VINs, John Wayne's ownership, or that it nearly launched as a sedan? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. And if you're hungry for more, check out our deep dives on the 1955 small block Revolution and the 1963 split-window Stingray. Until next time, remember, the Corvette legend started shaky, but it never stopped running.